In this presentation, we will discuss our work on large-scale analysis of online conversation about vaccine-related phenomena. This is a joint work by Marco Brambilla and Margherita Ricotti from Politecnico di Milano, Italy. This research is motivated by the fact that the anti-vaccination movement threatens public health and uses social media platforms to disseminate anti-vaccine information. For this reason, we investigate the features and behavior of these communities online. In this study, we map the Twitter discourse around vaccinations in English along 4 years in order to discover the volumes and trends of the conversation, compare the discussion on Twitter with newspapers' content, and classify people as pro or anti-vaccination and study how their behavior is different. Social media data is collected via the Twitter API, whereas the newspaper source is the New York Times API. We collected and analyzed more than 700 news articles and more than 6.5 million tweets. The tweets analyzed are written in English, contain at least one of the key words, vaccination, vaccine, and immunization, and are posted between January 2016 and December 2019. One of the goals of this study was to identify the stance or position of a tweet with respect to vaccinations. To avoid wrong classification of the position of a tweet due to ironic, cynical, or satirical nature of the text, we assign the polarization by detecting the presence of a hand-picked set of hashtags that are clearly pro or anti-vaccination. Subsequently, we run a supervised machine learning process over the remaining tweets to classify them. We performed a number of analyses on the classified data, including temporal trends over the 4 years, URLs pointing to content from external sources, content and vocabulary of tweets, comparison with the news posted on newspapers, location and demographics of the users, community analysis using graph techniques. First, we noticed that the volume of the online conversation peaked in 2019, as you can see from the bar plot on the left. 6.5 million tweets were produced by 1.5 million users along the 4 years under scrutiny, but most of the users took part in the discussion less than 5 times, as you can see from the pie chart on the right. The most referenced sources are YouTube, Natural News, a fake news website, and Facebook. The most reliable source that is cited in the tweets is the New York Times. Furthermore, social media are widely used when spreading information about vaccines, almost as much as reliable and fake news sources. And you can see this from the pie chart on the right. In order to understand which are the most relevant topics discussed, we analyze the vocabulary used in the tweets. The most discussed topics are flu, measles, autism, HPV, and polio. After we identified these topics as the most relevant on social media, we analyzed the presence of these topics on the New York Times, and then we compared the number of articles with the volumes of tweets, looking for correlations between the two. For instance, these plots show the correlation between Twitter and the New York Times for measles and flu along the 4 years. We can see that the 2019 measles outbreak is one of the main reasons for the growth in the conversation. Volumes of tweets about flu have a periodicity, but peaked in 2018 during the worst flu season ever in the US. Other topics did not show significant correlations. Starting from the hand-picked relevant hashtags that identify the stance, we were able to classify 250,000 tweets overall, among which 200,000 pro-vaccination and 50,000 anti-vaccination. Vaccine skeptic users cite mostly fake news and conspiracy websites, whereas pro-vaccination users cite mostly reliable scientific sources. However, both user categories widely cited social media sources. The vocabulary used by these two communities is very different, as shown in the two networks of words co-occurrences. Vaccine skeptic users blame big organizations such as the CDC, the WHO, and big pharmaceutical companies, claiming that vaccinations are dangerous and shouldn't be mandatory. Instead, pro-vaccination users talk about benefits of vaccinations and insist on the importance of making them available to everyone. The analysis of the accounts mentioned in the tweets revealed two distinct clusters, one corresponding to the pro-vaccination cluster on the left and the anti-vaccination one on the right. These two clusters are mainly connected through the accounts of big organizations like the CDC and the WHO. Most of the tweets were written by users located in the U.S. The most pro-vaccination states appear to be California, Ohio, and Texas, whereas the most opposed ones appear to be Virginia, Oregon, and Connecticut. The demographics analysis did not reveal significant differences. Community analysis performed on the two groups of users revealed that the network of anti-vaccination users is more connected than the pro-vaccination one, which is instead split in two clusters. The former indeed has higher density, higher average degree, and higher average clustering coefficient, with smaller average path length. In conclusion, this work shows that it is possible to integrate different online sources to analyze behaviors and trends for a topic like vaccination. The main conclusions of this work are: 1. The 2019 measles outbreak drove the growth of the conversation. 2. Newspapers provide larger coverage of flu and measles with respect to other topics, which are discussed on Twitter only. 3. The volume of pro-vaccine tweets seems bigger than anti-vaccine tweets. 4. The pro-vaccine community relies on more reliable sources of information, and mentioned accounts and vocabulary are very different between pro- and anti-vaccination users. 5. The anti-vaccine community is more connected than the pro-vaccine one. However, this work is just a starting point, and many investigations can be built upon it, including expansion in space, at global and multilingual scale and time. You can find more information about our work in the paper and in the materials published online in our website. Thanks for watching, and feel free to get in touch.